Hi guys, Hari here, casting in the Dreamhack Vengeance Dota 2 Cup online qualifier number 4. In this game we are going to be watching Complexity versus Snaking's team. For those of you that don't know, Snaking was a Heroes of Newerth professional, along with Way Too Sexy and Eternal Envy. These other two players I don't actually know, but we've been informed that at least one of these guys plays a good Broodmother. And anyway, with me today is none other than Dotalicious Aussie. Aussie, how you doing?
I'm alright, mate. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. As we talked about before, it's a pleasure casting with you. As I talked about before. Well, we talked about it, having it being a pleasure casting with each other, but that's a little bit awkward for me to say at this point. Yeah, we talked about how much we like each other.
And finished each other's sentences.
Yeah, we did do that. You should have. It would have been much better if you just said and finished each other's, and then I could have said sentences. You had it, but you missed it. Anyway, fortunately, the bans are coming out quite quickly in this game. Hoping it should be a pretty good one. Complexity really just stomped the last game that we just casted, but I don't know, Snaking, pretty good player, so hopefully he has a pretty good team around him. We can see something that goes a little bit interesting. Since we're bringing you guys this instead of Virtus Pro, which we should be casting, well, if nothing else, we'll at least cover them in the finals, because I'm sure they will be there. Although I guess that kind of makes it a little bit anticlimactic if we go cast them before the finals, then every game we just basically alluded to the fact that they're going to win, but yeah.
But you're putting it out there that they're going to guarantee to win. I'm not so sure about that. Well, let me take a look real quick at the teams they're going to play before the finals. There's Phoenix's team, which I guess is a couple of the Western Wolves players, probably not good enough. I think the only time they're going to, well, there's the DTS team, so I guess they're going to have to go up against DTS and then Epidemic or Z Nation. Yeah, I feel like they can beat both those teams pretty easily. Well, maybe not DTS. DTS should be pretty tough, but I'm still thinking they're going to make it to the finals just based on the skill level of their players alone. But anyway, let's try to focus on this game a little bit. Already some interesting picks coming out. First pick, Invoker. That's going to be TC, I think, that plays the Invoker, or maybe it's Jo that plays the Invoker. I would have assumed it was TC because he was always the solo mid guy, but I don't actually remember now. It's been so long since I've seen Invoker on Complexity. Do you know, Aussie? No, I've said it before as well, but the only scene that I follow is the European scene.
Yeah.
I'm so busy with some other stuff as well, especially the Dotalicious stuff, that I don't really get a chance for both the Asian and North Americans. And I know Complexity as a team, but I don't know them as individual players. And like you were saying last stream that TC wasn't in the other games we streamed with coL. I didn't even notice that. So, I mean, that's really thumbs up on your part. That's good spotting there from you. But I just don't know the players that individually enough to be able to make that call. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Actually, we have a really late Chen pick. I guess maybe Snaking's team not really that comfortable playing with the Chen, so they actually pass it. Although happy to take the Syllabear instead, as well as Windrunner. And then maybe this is why they didn't take the Chen, because they're content in their ability to counter it. Well, not necessarily counter it, because Enchantress certainly doesn't counter it, but kind of play a mini Chen of their own. Although, in my opinion, at least, slightly inferior Chen. How do you feel about that one, Enchantress versus Chen?
I think Chen does his role better for having that push strategy than what Enchantress does. Obviously, because her domination skills for the creeps are limited. The lifespan doesn't last. But I love seeing the Chen and Enchantress counterpicks towards each other because they can dominate each other's creeps, and that's always really interesting to see in a fight. But I would say Chen is better. I mean, both of them have a heal. I think Chen's is instant and Enchantress is over time. Chen's is also global and Enchantress is a local, but I think Chen is a better hero overall than what Enchantress is. But Enchantress does have more DPS on the hero than what Chen does.
That's true. And so it looks like we are going to have an all-in from the Complexity, kind of the old-school Complexity style. Well, not necessarily all-in, but pretty all-in. I mean, they're going to be going with the Venomancer and Chen, both strong pushing heroes. Beastmaster also pretty strong. I expect to see at least one point in the aura pretty early on to really help facilitate those pushes. Meanwhile, Way Too Sexy's team, Snaking's team, whatever, we're just going to call them the Dire because it's ridiculous to call it some person's team. Couldn't you guys come up with a team name? Jeez, at least something. Yeah, I don't know. Going to be going for probably, I mean, they're going to try to basically take a couple early towers, I assume, with that Enchantress, and then kind of turn it into a little bit more of a turtling lineup. Obviously, Windrunner very good at turtling, and actually, Lone Druid quite good at turtling himself. Not necessarily defending creep waves, but he's a very good split pusher, which is obviously a form of turtling, basically, forcing the team to TP back instead of continuing to push en masse. I don't know exactly. I'm so ingrained in French now. How do you actually say, is it en masse?
On demand.
In masse? No, like all grouped up, like en masse. En masse? Yeah,
But
okay,
it's
there
not
it
an
is.
English terminology. I mean, it's one of those French terms that is kind of like is like mise en place. You know it because
Yeah.
it's a standard word, but it's not an English word or phrase even.
Okay, all right, that makes sense to me. Mise en place, that's a nice one too. I like that. Or déjà vu.
Yeah, exactly. That's an even better example. I mean, I come from the restaurant business myself, so mise en place is
Yeah.
second nature to me.
Or amuse bouche. Although that one is a little more esoteric, I will admit. Regardless, we have a Rasta, so actually maybe I was wrong. Maybe both teams are just going to be going all out push here, which should be pretty exciting. Well, it could be pretty exciting or not very exciting at all if they end up just trading towers constantly, and then we don't actually see them meeting each other until the 20-minute mark. But hopefully we'll be seeing some action here. I'm assuming we're going to have Venomancer and some sort of a carry-ish hero. It doesn't have to be a complete carry. It could be some sort of a semi-carry going to be going bottom with the Chen in the woods, Beastmaster solo top, and that Invoker mid. Meanwhile, from the Dire, I would expect to see the Rasta probably mid, the Lone Druid soloing bottom, and I guess that means we're going to have Windrunner +1 up top, or it's possible that they'll also put the Lone Druid top and have the Windrunner solo bottom. I guess we'll have to see. It really depends on what their last pick is. And they're going for that Anti-Mage. I assume it's going to be the kind of pushing style Anti-Mage, with the Vanguard and Vlad's, rather than going for Battle Fury, but you really never know. Jo is pretty good at committing to the early game rather than being greedy and trying to farm, but we'll have to see what they go for this time. Kind of depends on the situation, I guess.
I really don't know about the Windrunner top. I think this, or for the Dire side, I'm thinking Syllabear might be top instead because he is able to keep the heroes back a little bit more and tower hugging and at the same time pulling the lane and being able to use the bear to pull the creeps from the Radiant side into his tower instead, denying the enemy the XP. So I could see something like that come out as well. It depends a little bit on how well they play him.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I don't know if these players... I mean, they are Han players, but I don't know how long they've been playing Dota 2. I haven't really kept up with Snaking and his personal affairs, so we'll have to see just how practiced they are. I assume, based on their picks, that they're probably pretty strong, because they have some pretty strong picks, and we'll have to see what their fifth is here. I would assume maybe some sort of a melee initiator type pick. Tide is banned, and so is Sand King, actually. Yeah, you can see that Complexity took out those melee initiators, trying to keep Snaking's team off of them, and we'll have to see what they go for. Maybe the Earthshaker is still there, or something even more a little bit aggressive like a Sven, which is pretty effective in a push lineup, giving that armor for pushes and making it easier to initiate when you're sitting on a tower. We'll have to see. And actually they go for the Tiny, so that's another one that I kind of didn't think about. Not a lot of synergy with their team. How do you feel about that?
I was watching Demon from Evil Genius's stream earlier today with more or less the entire EG team, and Melk was playing Tiny, doing a fantastic job of it. And in a lineup like this, I would see something similar to what they were doing, and that is using Toss to initiate. I mean, putting a Syllabear, no, sorry, not Syllabear, putting a Rust in to be able to shackle or Hex. The Windrunner also be able to get into a fight quicker, an AoE stun with his Avalanche, and a lot of DPS. And then later on, when you get the Aghanims, you're able to push towers solo without a problem, just like the Syllabear is. And that's a form of turtling, just like you were saying before, being aggressive on a split push lane. And I don't know if it synergizes perfectly, but it's not a bad pick at all. I'm actually quite happy to see him. I mean, he's really fun to watch as well. A good Tiny is a great thing to see. It's a lot of nice action and a lot of like little nice maneuvers that they are possible to pull off just thanks to that toss.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's what I was kind of talking about, though. Usually with the toss, you want something a little bit more reliable of an ability to toss in, and the Rasta kind of has that, but the Rasta is also quite squishy and a little bit vulnerable when he gets tossed in. And the Windrunner is possible with the Shackle Shot. Normally, it's something like the Tide or the Earthshaker, the Sand King. These are the things you'd normally like to toss, but obviously not really the case in the lineup. We are going to have a clash here in the mid, or in the lane here. Oh, the Shackle Shot just barely missing, actually. All 5 of the Dire here and only 4 of the Radiant. So it looks like the Radiant are going to look to back off. If that Shackle Shot had just latched, that most likely would have been first blood for the Dire. Unfortunately, just slightly off. I'm actually surprised that one didn't count, because usually...
I was thinking the same. I was trying to look at the angle and go, why did that not hit? It should have. In every sense, it should have. The angle's there. There was another hero there. There were plenty of trees as well. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, looks like the lanes will end up being with the Syllabear bottom, but actually the Rasta was in support, which is the one thing I didn't suspect. So actually we are going to have the Windrunner in the mid, the Syllabear bottom. maybe, I don't know, you just got confused with the Radiant Dire, because what you're talking about with the pulling with the bear with the creeps, that's what you would have to do in the sacrifice lane rather than your safe lane, which is why the Scylla Bear actually is down here. Beastmaster actually did pick up an Invis Rune top and is just going to probably use that to try to get a little bit of experience. Maybe deny a creep camp from the Enchantress, but probably not. And yeah, here actually bottom we can see the Scylla Bear is already pulling the creeps with his bear. The Veno is going to use Gale on it and try to slow it, but I think the bear has easily enough health, especially with that shield, that these creeps will be making it back to the bear's tower. And that will give Scylla Bear some much-needed early experience. And at the same time, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. Let's see how Anti-Mage did farming that for 4-0. So actually, he managed to kill all 4 under his tower. Quite impressive without a hatch or Calling Blade.
Yeah, no, for sure. I didn't actually see that. But yeah, I'm just looking at this bear. And I mean, at level 1, this Venomance has been attacking him non-stop for nearly a full minute. And he still isn't dead. It's just insane how much that little summon has in HP. It's not okay. Something, in my opinion, a little bit unbalanced about it.
Yeah, I mean, that bear is pretty ridiculous. But then again, it's a bear, and bears are scary, so I think it's okay.
That's like saying there's going to be an elephant in the game who has a lot of HP.
Yeah, you know what? If there was an elephant in the game, I think I would be okay with it being really difficult to kill him too. Anyway, the Enchantress gank is going to come on the Invoker mid here. Windrunner is going to try to line up a Shackle Shot. The Invoker uses his Tornado, but is definitely dead, kind of consigning himself to his death there. I'm a little bit interested that he didn't go for the... let's see if the Enchantress... No, there was actually no Invis detection on the Dire there, so I'm surprised he didn't go for Ghostwalk. I guess he maybe had just invoked Tornado, or maybe he just clicked it wrong. I know sometime... Oh, and actually, they're trapping the Beastmaster here. So Beastmaster might be in a little bit of trouble here. The net is going to come out, and Way Too Sexy does have the Shackles. Yeah, this Beastmaster is definitely dead, so the Dire are going to pick up a quick 2 kills. And meanwhile, Chen getting a double damage in the bottom river. But yeah, as I was going to say, I know sometimes, occasionally, like it's very easy to get confused the WWQ and QQW. So maybe he just accidentally invoked the Tornado instead. What do you think?
Impossible to say. It might have been just like you said, that he had his invoke on cooldown. That seems most likely, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, it was still on cooldown when he was dead, so I wish I'd clicked on him a little bit sooner. But anyway, the Scylla Bear is having to drag creeps again, but only getting a 1 range creep this time and taking a lot of damage from that DD Chen, so not going to get quite as much experience. But actually, even just by dragging the range creep, he is going to upset the... No, he's not really going to upset the lane balance enough. Actually, it should probably be fine. But he does have level 3, which is not too bad. Meanwhile, the Beastmaster sitting at level 2. The creep wave will be pushing for him, though, as the Dire has done a good job pulling that tough camp. Actually, Clap coming off on the Rasta, taking a lot of damage there. But he still has a few sets of Tango, so he should be fine. I'm actually getting it stacked up. So the Beastmaster probably going to get level 3 here. Beastmaster side lane solo, I'm not as much of a fan of for the Radiant as I am for the Dire, because obviously on the Dire, you can actually opt to stack the Ancients while you're sitting there doing nothing, whereas for the Radiant, you really don't have a similar option. Although I guess you can pull the tough camp yourself, so it kind of balances out a little bit, but I think not quite as much.
I'm just taking a look at the CS now of mid as well, and the Windrunner are not doing too bad with 13-1 compared to the Invoker was 17-3 though. So even though it did die, this JO is... I'm not sure, like you're saying, that TC is their solo carry. JO, in my opinion, has been doing a great job for that. I'm not really sure how you think he's a side lane hero. He's out farming the Windrunner by not a lot, but at least a little bit. I mean, considering that he did die as well, he's doing very, very well.
Yeah, well, I mean, JO was normally playing their farming carry, and TC used to be the solo mid. But, I mean, I guess that... I think JO always played the Invoker, though. That's why I was a little bit questioning about that originally. But, yeah, obviously his Invoker play is very strong. I mean, he's a very great player in general. I wasn't saying anything about stretching the imagination. I just remember that when Complexity first came out, which is kind of when I've seen Complexity the most, TC was kind of the one getting all the publicity for his... I mean, he was basically the one who... I don't want to say single-handedly, but almost single-handedly put Rasta on the map. As being a very viable solo mid, kind of dominating people and start getting it banned. And anyway, Sneaking is going to actually have to Bottle Crow here against this Invoker. I mean, Invoker should certainly beat a... Oh, top lane.
Shackle's coming out on the Beastmaster, and Beastmaster trying to go escape. Tiny coming in from behind, and...
tosses an Ursa Warrior at him, and Ursa Warriors are also big, so they do a lot of damage. Cold Snap actually coming out on the Windrunner here, going to Windrun. The Tornado is actually going to catch, and the Stomp should come out, from the Ursa Warrior, which is actually going to, with the nuke, be enough. Nice Shackle Shot there, but actually one more attack from the Ursa Warrior is enough to pick it up. And looks like we actually are going to have a push here in the top. Unfortunately, the Wildkin is going to die before they really do too much to this tower, which is going to be a problem because you really want that armor aura as well as the tornado to keep enemy heroes back. They have taken the creep wave actually back past the tower, which is a good job by Hannah Montana pulling it back like this, where it's going to be a lot more difficult for the Dire to continue dealing damage to the tower. They're going to have to wait for their next creep wave. Which Hannah Montana will also try to pull back as well, although that'll be a lot more difficult for him now that the Dire heroes are already up this far. So they should take a fair amount of tower damage, but I don't imagine that it'll be going down with only a level 3 Rasta. Just not enough damage to put out on that tower.
Yeah, and Enchantress no creeps now anymore either. The only problem is that this Hannah Montana doesn't have any mana anymore. So he's not able to use the axes to pull the lane and, back behind the tower again if they go for another push.
No, that's true. So anyway, back to what we were talking about mid. I think Invoker is certainly favored against Windrunner anyway. And the fact that Windrunner is actually 26, the Invoker is 29, especially including one death, although I guess one death apiece, actually means that Snaking is actually playing really well here. He has a Diabolic Row a little bit, which is kind of, I think a lot of people feel like a cheesy strategy. But...
all's fair in love and war.
Yeah.
It's not the most honorable way of winning a lane, in my opinion, but whatever works, that's the way to go. I mean, in the end, the losers don't get publicity, and they don't walk home with a prize either.
Yeah, I kind of feel like as far as the Balacron goes, I'm fine with, you know, if for example, I see that the other person is going to beat me to the rune, then instead of, you know, trying to go fight them for it, I'll just send the courier to myself to get my bottle refilled once. But generally speaking, especially on a hero like Windrunner, you should be trying to just control the runes, because it's much easier for you to push out the mid lane than it is for the Invoker. And speaking of the Invoker, actually, Gank going to come in here. Unfortunately, the no slow coming out. Shackle Shot not going to latch anything. The Shackles are going to come off from the Rasta, but actually the Invoker is going to be able to try to turn this one back around. Shen Heal is going to come out. Tower damage, one more hit on the... Oh, but nice job by Windrunner actually grabbing the tower aggro off of the Rasta, and the Rasta is going to survive. I think one more tower hit with the Cold Snap proc would have maybe been enough to get a kill, but I'm not positive. Meanwhile, though, Chen does have 2 creeps now, level 6, obviously, as we saw with the heal, and he's going to come push in the bottom here. IX Mike actually does not have any points in the wards yet, opting for the 2 points in Venomous Gale, but it's not really going to matter. I think with this many Chen creeps, it should be pretty easy for them to push down this tower. Although, actually, the Enchantress and Rasta are rotating over, so maybe they will be able to defend this after all. Guess I was wrong.
I like the I love Veno players that don't max out the wards early. I really don't like. I've always been an old school Veno player where you played Veno with maxing Gale and his passive, and then going stats instead of his plague wards. And that's even in pubs. That's the only way I'll play him. I know that they are great. I know that they have a ton of HP, one of the biggest HP for any summons in the game for the mana cost and so on and spam ability of them. But I don't know. I just like him more as a semi-carry than pure support.
Anyway, the Invoker actually getting caught here. He was trying to chase the Windrunner around through the trees to the right of the tower, and the Windrunner did manage to get away, and support coming in time from the Enchantress and the Rasta is going to give the Enchantress level 6, so that impetus coming out now is going to increase their damage. Meanwhile, though, I missed, actually, Tiny gets a solo kill on the Beastmaster up top. Didn't really expect that to happen, but I guess this, how would you pronounce his name? Aoi?
Aoi? I have no idea. Yeah, no. Call him 2000.
Yeah, alright. This 2000 guy. Oh, actually, ensnare from the barrier down here. If he gets one more entangle on this creep, or on this Venom, it will be enough to kill him, but actually just barely not. We'll have to see if the Chen decides to nuke the bear for the gold. No, the bear still has way too much HP. It's kind of deceptive like that. You see it just having a sliver of health, but no, that's actually 300 health it still has.
Yeah, 2,300 HP. That is insane early game compared to any heroes. I mean, that's like 4 heroes together. Chen, the Veno, and the AM have less than that together.
Looks like this bottom tower is finally going to go down. So the first tower is taken by Complexity, which is going to basically, well, actually the gold graph was already even back up with that one kill, basically, which just kind of shows that Complexity is that much better at farming, kind of had better lanes than Snaking's team in general. But with only one tower advantage this early on, we'll have to see how things start to even up. The thing is, though, obviously, like we were talking about, the Chen is going to be so much better at pushing in the mid game than Enchantress is. Enchantress is very good at burst pushing early on, which is what she should have been doing, and she really needed to have taken that tier 1 tower top. Like, when you have an Enchantress in the jungle, that's basically by 10 minutes, there's no way you shouldn't have taken the tier 1 tower already. Shackle Shot coming out from Snaking mid on the range creep, but actually not going to hit anything. But yeah, so this is, I don't know, I mean, it's looking pretty favorable, even with a 1-5 kill lead for the Dire. Looking pretty favorable for Complexity to take a few more towers and get a pretty significant lead in the mid game here. And having an anti-mage on their team, I think that's just going to keep going. We'll have to see how quickly the Syllabear can get his Radiance, which is obviously a really big item as well, and whether that can make a big enough impact on the Anti-Mage and the rest of his team in the mid game to kind of maybe turn this a little bit more into the Dire's favor into the late game.
Yeah, we haven't seen AM in any of the team fights either yet. He's just been casually farming all game. Does he have any assists or supports? No, he doesn't, does he?
Nope, he's just been farming. He's sitting at 61 CS though, the highest in the game, so has been farming quite well.
Gold per minute, 348 as well, so just below what the Tiny is at 357. Which just goes to show that Tiny's been having a very nice farm up top as well.
Yeah, well, the Tiny, while not getting necessarily the same CS as the AM, has gotten 3 kills, which certainly does give a little bit more gold. And is going to make him a little bit more juicy of a target. He actually has opted to go for treads before getting his blink. Pretty usual, although normally you would expect to see that when you have a bottle, because as I was talking about in the previous game, it kind of increases your mana efficiency if you have a bottle to get treads as well. But, I mean, treads is always still a nice item to have on him.
I think he's definitely going for a Tiny kind of late game carry. If you're going more of a Tiny support semi-carry, then he would go in mana boots instead, and just that he gets that extra attack speed is crucial for him, because he has such a slow attack speed in his base. So yeah, Aghanim's definitely going to be coming out on him. We're going to be able to see him push the towers later on.
He's actually going a little bit too far forward here, and he's most definitely going to die. The Enchantress heal coming out, but it's not going to save this Tiny. Tiny really being careless there, just eating a Gale and paying for it. We'll have to see. Looks like the Radiant is probably going to deny this tower as well. Snaking actually, really nice play there. Had the double damage, uses Wind Run, stands there tanking not really tanking the tower damage because Wind Run finishes off. So nice play by him. I actually thought the Radiant would be able to deny that tower as well, but a good individual play by the Wind Runner with the double damage rune. Wind Runner already with her phase boots up, sitting at 1,500 gold, so certainly has had a pretty good game. The Cyclone EMP going to come out, but the Invoker is just going to Ghost Walk away. Although, the dust just barely, actually, it doesn't miss him. I don't know if it did miss him or not.
No, it did miss him.
It did miss him, but he
was
actually
able to see an icon then.
Yeah, well, but I guess since he became invisible, oh yeah, even if he came visible, the icon would still stay up, because I thought maybe he just broke it and that broke the dust, but yeah, you're right. But yeah, I thought it missed him, and I guess maybe he thought it hit, and that's why he came out of, or he just knew he could get away anyway, so it didn't really matter. But anyway, the Radiant putting a lot of pressure on the Tier 1 tower top, but it's going to be pretty easily defended. That nuke from Rasta makes it pretty easy to defend creep waves, even if it's only level 3, and obviously dual nukes. Actually, yeah, the Tiny has gone for drums as well, so I guess foregoing the blink entirely for a little while. He's going to get the drums, maybe into blink next, or maybe, like you said, we'll just go, I mean, well, not like you, but he'll be, I mean, obviously he's going to be going for the Aghanims at some point. You think he's going to maybe go for the Aghanims even before blink, or you think he still will get that blink?
No, I think I'm unsure if he'll get blink at all in this game. I mean, if he's going a DPS build and attack speed build, he wants to go something that gives him even more attack speed than what the treads do. They do give a bit, but not enough for him to be able to do DPS. So possibly a Manta coming out from him at some point. It depends what his next item will be. We'll see him. If he gets 1,000 gold and he goes for an Alacrity, then it's Manta. Otherwise, it's going to be the blink.
Manta Tiny, huh? Okay. Well, that's a new one to me. I would normally expect, yeah, just, I mean, even when you're going kind of like the damage builds on Tiny, usually you pick up the blink early on anyway, just to try to get some kills and kind of turn that into the money to get more items. And actually, the Wind Runner are going to be a little trouble here. It's going to Wind Run, but it's actually going to get netted and tornado at the same time. A little bit overlapping there, but there's no way he's getting out of this, and that's a killing spree for the Chen.
Nice play by Chen. Fluff and stuff. A great support hero. Great support player. No, but the Manta is good as well against the Cold Snap. It'll take it'll debuff that. It's good for dodging a lot of spells. It's for example a Gale coming out, or it's also nice to get that pig from Beastmaster off your ass.
That's true. And at the same time, Manta does only... I mean, a lot of people think Manta gives more damage than it does, but it actually does... The illusions only get your base damage. They obviously don't get any damage bonuses you have. And Tiny has insane base damage, so it actually means that the Manta illusions do hit for a very significant amount of damage as well, which I guess is not irrelevant. Push on the Tier 1 tower in the mid, going to come 3 of the Radiant here to defend, and actually an Invis Invoker who's going to set up probably the EMP Tornado of his life. Kind of. The EMP is going to hit 3, and that's going to be enough mana to force them back. Anti-Mage is actually here, so he's going to be blinking in, trying to deal some damage. Drum charges come out for the Dire. Let's see if they can burst down the... Wow, actually, the Anti-Mage almost going down completely, gets blinks back. Meanwhile, though, the Tiny is going to go down to the combination nukes. Venomancer getting it old, actually hitting 3, so the Dire is certainly going to have to back off here.
and looks like that's exactly what they're going to do with no additional casualties. I didn't even realize that anti-mage blinked out. He blinked out so quickly, and while his health was going down so fast, I wasn't sure if he had teleported out by the Chen, if he just died. I saw he wasn't dead, and actually no, it was just a blink by him. Meanwhile, though, this entire time the Syllabear is just farming bottom. He actually does have where's his bear? Like, is his bear dead? I can't see it anywhere.
Yeah, that's to be dead. I can't see it on the minimap.
Yeah, I've got to wonder where all his gold is, because I mean he's got to have a significant amount of 33 last hits. Maybe he doesn't have much gold at this point. I don't really know. Has he died? No, hasn't died at all. So he's got to have some items. Radiant Ancients. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, it's all the way over there, and it has phase boots. So not the greatest farm on him actually. I mean you would expect that in a sacrifice lane. But I would kind of expected him to kind of fix it up a little bit more by now. Unfortunately, that's going to be kind of bad news for them. And what exactly is he doing with his bear? He's going to pull the creeps out so that the wave pushes, but that's not really going to do anything because they're not actually pushing from the top. I don't know exactly what the plan is.
He's keeping the creeps back so they can push the second tower. I don't know.
Yeah,
he's just having fun with the bear at the moment. It just looks like he's doing circles for no reason.
He's actually microing himself to last hit pretty well while doing this. I wonder if he just has the bear on... No, they can't be on patrol because then it would attack. Maybe he just has it shift-clicked a bunch of times. I don't really know. Anyway, a push going to come in on this tier 1 tower again. Looks like the tower is going to go down. The toss on the Enchantress takes down the tower very quickly, and Enchantress just uses the heal. So yeah, we've got 2 stacks of creeps on the bear here, so I'm going to watch what happens. Looks like there's not going to be any action mid, and the Radiant do see this bear fucking around with their creeps. Is he going to take him to the Ancients? I don't think that would be the best strategy ever, because then he would just be denying his team golden experience. He's going to take them somewhere, but where? No, actually, he just wanted to create a giant push for the Radiant in the top lane. Yeah.
I've given up trying to figure it out. Because he dropped half of them, putting him back to the lane.
Yeah, and then he dropped the other ones too. EMP Tornado came out on the Tiny. Tiny has no mana left in the mid, and the tower is just going down uncontested. Looks like they're going to try for a trade in the bottom, and I think they're going to get it. Now that the bear is with him, they do a fair amount of damage to the tower, and the Anti-Mage has opted to go for a Battle Fury build. Makes sense, I guess. He has had pretty good farm. Obviously, 17.5 minutes. Battle Fury plus treads. Nothing amazing, but it's certainly very solid and is going to lend itself well to the mid-game farming insanely fast.
It is, for anyone who doesn't know, the bear, the summon from Syllabear, it does another 40% damage to buildings, which is why it's so great for taking down towers.
So I guess his strategy this entire time to increase his farm was he piled up all these creeps and then was coming top to take them. An Anti-Mage actually does get entangled here. The Hex is going to come out from the Rasta. Rasta, why would you not shackle afterwards? May not have been enough anyway, but I guess kind of just overestimated the amount of the duration on that Hex. Obviously only level 1 Hex, so it doesn't last for very long, and the Anti-Mage gets out. I don't know. I was definitely shackled over the Aether Shock. Aether Shock is probably the last thing you should be using, and on top of that, I mean, Aether Shock's not going to do much damage to an Anti-Mage because he has Spell Shield. How many levels? 2 levels in Spell Shield, and I mean, if the bear gets another Entangle, maybe you can actually get a kill, whereas obviously with the Aether Shock you did not.
Yeah, I think it is overestimated the length of the Hex. Maybe he tried to shift click and just got slightly out of range and didn't manage to do it, or something along those lines.
Yeah, maybe. Looks like, well, Eternal Envy's strategy has kind of paid off a little bit. He actually just jumped up to 2,400 gold, so getting actually a little bit close to his relic. I mean, although I think that was not just from his ridiculous creep stacking, but also from the last hit on the tower bottom, which is, I'm pretty sure he got himself. No, actually it was the Enchantress that got it. So, no, I guess it was all from this. Anyway, the Windrunner does have a haste rune chasing down this Venomancer, but is going to overcommit. Yeah, Tornado's going to come out, so she just decides to run out, and the haste rune has expired anyway. I haven't talked about the items other than basically the bear for a while. You want to go over that?
Yeah, we got the AM has the Battle Fury, Power Treads, and a Poor Man's Shield, which is a good build for him. It's a lot of farm, a lot of early on, but it's not gonna. It scales well into late game because he'll be able to get the Manta, so it's nothing unusual there. Brewmaster with the Arcane Boots, standard, nothing else. Chen with the Mecha and Arcane as well, so a lot of mana going out in that team. Invoker with 4 Staff and Drums, which is very core items for him, and the Venomancer with the Urn. So that's very nice for even more heal in that team. And on the dire side, though, I don't see as much. We have one mech on the Windrunner, as well as the phase boots in the bottle, and we have some... That is it, actually. That is of any interest. We have Enchantress with drums as well, so both teams actually having 2 drums, both Tiny and Enchantress having drums. But no other higher tier items. I think the highest tier item on the dire side is a mecha, which is on the Windrunner.
Tornado going to come out here, along as well as the EMP. Bear is, or the Still Bear himself is completely out of mana. Well, the bear is out of... No, actually, the bear's not out of mana. No, all right, yeah, I was going to say the bear is out of mana, too, because he doesn't actually have mana. And then I saw the blue bar, and I was like, wait a second. But no, that's not mana. It's just I don't know, visual for that or whatever reason. And yeah, the Tiny did pick up a point booster. That doesn't necessarily mean he is going to go Aghanims next. I mean, point booster is such an amazing item if you can ever pick it up and build it into something later on, that it's worth picking up, even if you're planning on going Blink second. But that might signify that he will get the Aghanims before the Blink. And I have to assume, because if you were going to get the Blink, you'd really have it by now. You wouldn't have bought this many items beforehand. And yeah, the double drums is a bit unusual. I don't really like that so much. I really don't like stacking drums. I think people overrate how good of an item drums is. I think drums is absolutely something that's worth having one of on a team. But 2 is just really not necessary in my opinion. The activation just isn't that important, I don't think. Just having 1 with the aura is enough.
Yeah, the aura is the biggest thing about it. I mean, sure, you activate it, then you can always buy more recipes to recharge as well once those 4 charges are out, but it's the aura of it to always have that little bit of extra movement speed and attack speed for the entire team. It just scales very well for how cheap it is, and also gives out a little bit of mana, which helps. But I think the point booster coming out in the Tinies because of the Invoker constantly draining his mana. So he might have actually changed his idea. Instead of going for the Blink, he went for that just to have another stun after the... what is it called? That drains the mana now. It's
EMP.
There we go, the EMP.
Looks like this engagement is going to happen. Roche is getting lower and lower here, so someone's going to have to break and actually go to try to fight here. I mean, the EMP tornadoes just keep draining them. They are all extremely low mana. The Venomancer actually running in here is going to get his ult off on 4 heroes. Wow, that's going to hit a lot. And Winner actually getting 4-stepped up on the cliff. Not going to be, or maybe that was the Beastmaster ult, not actually a 4-step. Anyway, Rasta down as well, but the Tiny has already fought back. Yeah, great shackle shot holding the Beastmaster and the Chen. Meanwhile, Anti-Mage picks off the Roche while everyone else is fighting outside and grabs the Aegis and is happy to blink out. Impetuses are coming out on this Chen. We'll have to see if there'll be enough. Tossing the bear, but the Syllabear himself is not actually close enough for the bear to hit and get an entangle, and that's basically just going to be everyone backing off. So that's actually a really bad trade for the Dire, losing 2 heroes, having 1 buyback, only getting 1 kill. The other team takes Roche and the Aegis. I think they got the Dire. Radiant got the Roche kill. Yeah, Radiant did get the Roche kill as well.
Yeah, so a nice initiate coming out from coL. Complexity, knowing that the dire side was there, knowing when to go in, the tornado coming in to show the HP of Roshan as well, just forcing me to initiate and turn out in their favor. Like I said, 2 for 1. And on top of that, the Anti-Mage, the most important hero on their team to get the Aegis, did manage to pick it up as well.
Yeah, he has opted to go for just that Vitality booster, pretty much standard these days on an Anti-Mage who goes Battle Fury, just to get that extra health, since you didn't end up building the Vanguard. And we'll go for his Manta next. Already has his Yasha in the stash. Let's see, the Syllabear, I mean, he's done a pretty good job not dying recently, but he hasn't really been farming too much either because of all the time they spent in Roche. So his Radiance time is probably back to, well, optimistically 30, probably around 30-minute Radiance is probably still what we're looking at, which is not really very great at all. But, I mean, that's kind of like the last time you would like to have it on a Spectre. A Syllabear should even have it sooner, usually. Usually you would expect to see Radiances on Syllabear, usually the 22 to 25-minute range. And this is going to be obviously much later than that, which is not going to be so good for them against an Anti-Mage who is already very close to his Manta.
I mean, if you're rushing Radiance, you should be on a Syllabear, you should be getting it before 20 minutes. It's not that hard to get on him.
Well, I mean, in this case, he did go phase boots first, so it's not
exactly.
Really
but you shouldn't be buying that many more items before the Radiance. You should just straight on rush it. I mean, getting that damage, both the damage that you get from the relic in the item and the AoE damage as well, is just so crucial for the bear to be able to go out and farm creeps in his own. You can essentially just put him in a lane and click stop, and his waves will come at him, and he'll kill it with Radiance aura. Especially since the creeps that early don't have as much HP as they do later on.
That's true. There's actually one other thing so you're kind of talking about the Invoker trading mana, and so one of the more established things, and I guess there hasn't been a lot of opportunities to talk about this for a while because Quas Wex Invoker has been less common these days compared to the Quas Exort ever since the Tornado EMP nerfs. But is that generally speaking, when you're playing against Quas Wex Invoker, the way you counter him, or the most effective counter to him, is to get lots of Arcane Boots. Usually you would expect to see even 3 on a team against Quas Wex Invoker. Actually, Anti-Mage is going to try to man up on this Silvera top, but there's no way he's going to get killed, just forcing him back. But yeah, and so we have actually plenty of essentially 4 heroes on the Dire who can pick up Arcane Boots. The Enchantress, the...
Shadow Shaman?
Rasta? Yeah, Shadow Shaman. I'm always trying to think of Shadow Shaman. Yeah, it's exactly. And I just settled for Rasta. Yeah, the Shadow Shaman, the Tiny, and the Windrunner. Essentially, all 4 of those really can go Arcane Boots. Now, you probably, I mean, if I had to say in order of those, the one who's best to get another sort of boots, it would either be the Tiny or the Windrunner. I think probably Windrunner. I really just like phase boots on her so much. It's so important to get that positioning for the shackle shot. So in my opinion, the Rasta, the Tiny, and the Enchantress should probably all have arcane boots. But 2 of them opting to go for treads, Tiny going for that attack build is really just not really paying off for them. I mean, yeah, sure, at some point he's going to be able to take out towers, but he's not committing. He's not providing enough for his team when they need it the most, which is the mid game here. They're going to lose the late game anyway to this Anti-Mage who's farmed so much better than their Silver, that I really think he should have just gone for the Arcane Boots and tried to help them out more against the Invoker in the mid game.
I think they're putting a lot of hopes on the Tiny as well. Invoker picking up a Ul staff now as well, so even more disable coming out from Complexity.
Yeah, and with Max Wex, that is basically, I think when he turns on phase boots, he does have haste, I believe. Between the drums, the Uls, and Max Wex 3 orbs. Little push going to come out here on the bottom tower, probably going to get defended. I don't imagine they're going to be able to take us out, even with those wards there. Although the Radiant Creep Wave is dead, but yeah, the Invoker's just going to come out and right-click those wards, and he's actually just one-shotting each of them. So yeah, tower is going to get defended. Not in deny range yet, though, so I guess that's not the worst thing ever for the Dire, although it's not very good since they just gave up all that ward gold. And actually, the Invoker is going to force staff himself forward here. Isn't actually going to catch anyone. He could have Yules the Windrunner there. He's going to Yules her in the end anyway, but she's going to be out in time. I'm kind of questioning a little bit why he didn't Yules her in the first place, but it's kind of that, I like to think of it as like a delay of when you pick up a new item before you remember that you have it. Cause,
I was just about to say exactly that. There's a lot of times I've got a Hex and I just buy it before fight. At the end of the fight, I'm like, oh yeah, I should have Hexed him. Yep. I've got that item now. I completely forgot about it. You have to put your state of mind into it. Like, you have to get into that frame of mind that I've got these items and I've got that ammunition to use as well now.
Yeah,
and exactly. Yeah, I just checked it out. Invoker with phase boots turned on and maxed out. Wex does have maximum movement speed, 522 now.
Yeah, that's definitely insane. It's so much fun to play with that too. Invoker is actually my personal favorite hero to play, and I know that I really actually, well, I don't know. I don't know if I have more fun playing. Oh, actually, he's going to get a little bit of an engagement here with the Windrunner, but both are just going to back off. If I have more fun playing the Exort build or the Wex build, but and actually he drains all of the Windrunner's mana. But yeah, because the Exort build is obviously very fun, getting the Sunstrikes. But I don't know, the Wex build is just so much fun with that movement speed. Just basically being able to run everywhere on the map so quickly is just insane.
I think I've been playing Dota since 620 roughly, so it's about 6 years now. And the first time I played Invoker, I know it hasn't been around that long, I'm just saying as a fact, is about 3-4 weeks ago. And because I was streaming a public game, and I nearly always random, and I random Invoker, and I said, look, next time I do it, I'll play him for the first time. I've never played him in Dota 1, and I ended up really liking him. It wasn't as hard to play as I thought that he would be, and that's one of the reasons I never bothered playing with him. And I just went like 1 week straight. I just played Invoker maybe 20-30 times, and it's really fun. But I've only gone to Quas Wex build. I never go the Exort build until, I mean, sure, I get put levels into it later in the game, but early game just a Quas Wex. It's much easier for me to handle.
I do agree. It's definitely, like, I mean, you're already having to worry about so much with Invoker, focusing on all the possible spells you can be casting. Having to also be looking everywhere on the map constantly really is, yeah, quite a task. And obviously the other difference is with the Quas Wex build, usually you don't have all your spells. You're only focusing on basically 4 spells for up until maybe level 11 or 13, whereas with the Quas Exort build, you basically get all your spells from like level 6, which makes it more difficult as well. Actually, so wait, you played Dota all that time? Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess I'll finish off the Invoker thing. I basically was the exact same way. In Dota 1, I never played Invoker. I love to watch pros play him, though. He's my favorite hero to watch. But I was just afraid of how difficult he was to play. And then in Dota 2, I eventually did pick him up and did basically the exact same thing you did. I just, after having played him once, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get good with this hero, and played him for maybe 2 weeks straight, and just ended up having a ton of fun. But so you've played Dota 1. I actually left Dota 1 before this hero came out. But the other hero that I feel like has to be a lot of fun to play that I've never played. Did you ever play with Rubik?
Yeah, a lot. That's one of the ones that I played the most with in Dota 1. Whenever I do play Dota 1, it's because of Rubik.
Oh god, that hero, it's just so sexy. I just want it so badly. I cannot wait for that hero to be in Dota 2.
I know that Valve is working on him at the moment. They're most likely going to introduce him before the next international, because he is awesome. He is a competitively viable hero by far, and because of his ultimate, it adds a lot of fun into the game.
Yeah, it's
tactically it's annoying to play against Rubik. I mean, you don't want your enemy team also having Echo Slam or Black Hole or even a Ravage. That's just not okay.
Yeah, it does. It really changes the picking phase. And actually, back to this game, looks like we are going to have a little bit of a gank on the Beastmaster here. Beastmaster does not have any sort of escape item on him, so he's most likely going to die. Other than the fact that this Tornado, but the Tornado actually just barely missing all those heroes. So yeah, Beastmaster is dead. There's no way he's getting out of here. Tiny actually has finished up his Aghanims. Beastmaster uses the Roar. Actually, there's a TP on the ground. And actually, yeah, the reason why the Beastmaster is alive this long is actually because they turned around and killed the Invoker after seeing the Tornado. I missed that, actually. And so the Beastmaster is actually going to live. He's just going to TP out. So my prediction of him definitely being dead was definitely wrong, but that's just because the Invoker basically gave his life instead.
Yeah, I found one and picked off another one instead.
Yeah. Oh, meanwhile, though, the Anti-Mage actually, just a little bit ago, was close to the Manta, and now has Manta and Heart. So he's basically... those are the items at which he is essentially out of control. And your Syllabear, who just picked up his Radiance, I think, like 4 minutes earlier, is not going to be... it's not going to be enough to counteract that. And, yeah, even with the Tiny... finally getting 32-minute Aghanims without Blink is also not very great. I wonder if any of their gold per minutes are over 350. Nope, actually the highest, 320 on the Windrunner. What does Windrunner have? I saw he has Mech and Mech 4 staff.
The Invoker has nearly 380.
No.
And Anti-Mage on 550, not bad.
Yeah, it's no 800, but it'll do. Looks like the Anti-Mage actually does have an Invis Rune, so he's going to come in and spot this team out. The Tornado is going to hit the Enchantress. The Enchantress is actually going to get blocked in by the Anti-Mage. The Anti-Mage, I think, is just going to stay. Oh, actually, no, the block is not complete. I thought it was. But Enchantress was able to get out there. I think the Anti-Mage could have attacked there, but he thought it would be funnier just to force the Enchantress to get stuck in there and die to the rest of her team. Meanwhile, though, Tiny is actually just right-clicking this tower. Shackle Shot going to come out on the Anti-Mage. Anti-Mage is actually going to be taking a little bit of damage, but no. Beastmaster does have his Blink now. Blinks in. Ice Wall, and actually in an amazing position here, slowing down basically the entire Dire team, forcing them back. Meanwhile, they're taking a lot of damage from this Invoker's right clicks. Hand of God coming out, and they're all just dead. One actually did make it out. Where is that Windrunner at? She's back in the base. I guess she TP'd. I don't think she bought back. I assume she TP'd out. I didn't see exactly where. But yeah, that's basically almost a team wipe for the Radiant, and they're just going to go easily take Roche here and then take the Tier 2 tower afterwards.
Yeah, amazing wall coming out from Invoker, perfectly positioned. Just like you said, just slow down the entire team. And just the angle of it as well, just allowing them to chase a lot better.
Yeah, and actually the Anti-Mage is going to try to blink it on the Windrunner. If the Tornado hits, they might consider it, but no, Invoker he does have haste, so he can keep chasing after her. But the problem is, and sometimes you forget this as an Invoker, is your team is really far behind, and they always are.
Yeah, like you can catch up, but if no one else can catch up, that's not always a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, they are just going to settle for this tower here. And actually, we have a Cabal Taskmaster as well. I wish the Chen would just right-click that on the Invoker, and then the Invoker would have permanent haste, not even needing to activate the Phase Boots. But yeah, I was going to say that the Ice Wall as an Invoker player is actually, it's very unwieldy. It's quite difficult to get it exactly the way you want it. So placing it so perfectly like that really does take a lot of precision, and was really nice play there by Jo.
I like his range of spells as well. He's not just focusing on a couple, but he's actually picking out nearly his entire arsenal. I haven't seen Sunstrike coming down yet. Have we? And Meteor, I was just about to say, that's been used very few times so far. But yeah.
Meteor is pretty bad when you go the Quaswex build, obviously. I mean, you know that as well as I do. That just, since it's so slow, the only reason it's fine early on is because of how much damage it does. When you do go the Exort build, you can deafening blast people in it, and they take a lot of damage. But having gone the Quaswex build, it's pretty useless for basically anything except pushing back creep waves. But yeah, Sunstrike would be decent. He has opted for basically... I mean, he went 3 points in Quas early on. He is getting 3 points in Exort now. Normally, I would like to see him get the 4th point in Quas before starting to go with more than 1 point in Exort. Because, I mean, obviously the reason why he's loving Exort now is because he wants to get 4 points in each of those and just get the 2 Forge Spirits up, because that negative armor is so nice. And obviously you don't really... I mean, once you have 2 of them, it still gives the same amount of negative armor, even if they don't deal as much damage as they would in a Quas Exort build. But I think, I mean, since he needs the 4 points of Quas anyway, I feel like just having a little bit better Cold Snap, longer duration on the Tornado, etc., would just be a little bit better rather than maxing the Exort. And if he did max the Exort like this, like you said, I would have expected to see a few more Sunstrikes. Tiny, actually, yeah, not a lot to say. I mean, it is a 35-minute game that's 10-7. But yeah, Invoker has picked up his Aghanims. Let's see, does Chen actually opting to go... Chen has Vlad's and Necronomicon.
AM picking up a Basher as well. And 2.6k on top of that, so I'm guessing he's going to be upgrading that as well.
Yeah, you think, I guess since he has the Aegis, he doesn't even need to worry about buyback. Well, he has the Aegis, and actually they have lost most of their towers, so but I mean, they're constantly keeping the waves pushed pretty effectively, so he doesn't really need to worry about the buyback that much. And obviously, as stated, he has the Aegis, so yeah, should be seeing an Abyssal from him, using that to lock down the Syllabear, who is kind of a squirmy hero to catch, with so much movement speed himself from Fury.
Yeah, it's also great against the Windrunner. Whenever she Windruns away, to stun her, so she stays in place. And then once it runs out, you can keep on attacking her.
Yep. Yeah, that is true. Beastmaster, as we saw in the last team fight, does have his Blink now. Any other big pickups here?
A gem on the Venomancer, which is interesting as well. Obviously a counter for... For who?
Just for ward, counter warding. Just
it's got to be that.
Yeah, you can just place his wards everywhere and get vision and counter ward very easily. It's very easy to do this safely as the Venomancer, obviously, because you can use your wards to kill the wards, so you don't even need to come up into the position. Venomancer, probably the best counter warding hero in the game. One of the things that people kind of underestimate the difference between playing him and playing someone like a Vengeful Spirit or CM as a support is just how easy it is for him to counter ward without putting himself in a precarious position. And yeah, the AM does pick up the Abyssal, and looks like this is going to signify the time for them to push in.
There's another thing on the Venomancer counting warding as well, is that a lot of times if you don't have sight uphill, even if you have true sight, you can't actually get to the wards. So being able to put those plague wards on top of the hill where you normally do place the obs wards allows them to kill them a lot easier as well. And not having to have a team that maybe uses a spell or even has to carry obs wards of your own just to give sight of the wards they're trying to counter.
Yep, tier 2 or tier 3 tower going down bottom. Shackle Shot actually is going to last the Beastmaster. Beastmaster might go down here. Lots of heals coming out. Let's see. Beastmaster does go down before he gets his ult off, but doesn't really matter. The Dire's just taken too much AoE damage already. Actually, the Venomancer goes down as well. Chen in the back, almost dead. Actually, this has been a pretty good defense from the Dire here, but meanwhile, AM is just destroying the rest of the Dire. Invoker does buy back and just TPs in the mid tower. We'll see if he's going to be running here with his Quasi Haste. Sunstrike actually coming out, but not going to hit anyone. The AM does just TP out, but the melee racks have gone down. Snaking actually is probably going to catch this Chen. Chen doesn't even have a TP, so it's unlikely that Chen's going to survive this. Although the Invoker will be here shortly. Tornado is going to fly. Will it just barely clip the Dire Heroes? Clips the Tiny, but it doesn't really matter. The Chen goes down anyway, and the Invoker is just going to back off. So pretty good defense there from the Dire, but... I mean, they lost the racks anyway, and Anti-Mage didn't even lose his Aegis, so not... I mean, while it was a good defense, not good enough.
Yeah, Chen opting to send him home and sacrifice himself instead. I think the Anti-Mage would have been able to get away, though, even without Chen's help. Even without wasting that Aegis. Shouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah, I mean, with 3,000 health and Spell Shield and 20 armor, he's basically impossible. What does 20 armor resistance give? Well, only 54%. So he only takes 50% from... I guess, well, they do have the Enchantress on the Dire team, which is basically one of the heroes. It's kind of used in the Asian scene as a quasi-counter to Anti-Mage obviously doing full damage to the Anti-Mage through his ridiculous resistances. But I don't know, it's still just, I don't know, that Anti-Mage is so huge. Actually maxed on items. We'll have to see. Maybe he will go for selling his shreds and try to pick up Travels next, or just wait until the Aegis is gone. An Invis Windrunner will be able to look for a Shackle Shot, which actually might be the way to kill him. Let's see if she's going to get it. Why would you Shackle her? There's nothing to hit. You had, I mean, I know her team was coming, so she was afraid he was going to blink. If she'd just gone for it for like a second sooner. And, yeah, well.
Yeah, just as he's walking up instead, or even like she saw her team coming, she could have positioned herself a lot better.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a little bit disappointing there. I assumed that would have actually, I mean, I think they had enough with the 4 of them, especially, like I said, with the Enchantress. Even though she does only have level 2 ult, they would have actually been able to take on those Aegis. Not that that would have been the biggest deal ever, since he has buyback money now anyway, and he would have just blinked out after the Aegis was taken down. But still, it's not nothing.
It feels a lot safer as well in a team fight where you don't have to kill an AM twice that is maxed out on items. Yeah, that's a scary thought.
Meanwhile, the Syllabear is still working on his next item, which will be that Assault Curious, which I assume he will also put on the bear. That's usually the standard thing. But for now, he just has the armor items on himself. The Entangle and the Anti-Mage. The Anti-Mage doesn't really care. He just turns around and starts bashing the bear. He's actually going to try to go for the kill on the bear here by blinking out, but the bear's just going to back off. Even for an Anti-Mage, the bear is too difficult to kill. And yeah, meanwhile they just keep pushing up bottom. I don't know really what the rating is waiting for here. I wish they would just kind of go push in, but they know better than I do, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting to see is that when AM tries to attack the bear has no mana, so he's actually doing a lot less damage to the bear than what he does to a hero.
Oh, that's true. Let's see, 20,000 gold difference? Yeah. That's about right. I hadn't looked at it for a while, but I figured in case Holy hadn't shown it to the viewers, maybe we should. And let's see, I think Invoker probably does have... Oh, and actually just missing action. Actually, they are coming in here now. The Syllabear and the Shadow Shaman both already dead to the Anti-Mage, and now he's just going to back out and continue killing things. Sorry, I wasn't watching that at all. I kind of got lulled into complacency by this game. He does have Alacrity up, and he's just going to actually surprise that Shackle Shot didn't do anything, but Sneaking just melts. And yeah, that's going to be... Oh, actually, no, Enchantress as well. Godlike Streak for the Anti-Mage, and the GGs are going to come out.
Insane attack speed on the AM with Alacrity on him.
Yeah, I guess that's the other reason I didn't really account for. The one other advantage of going Exort a little bit earlier on the Invoker is that it does give more damage to the Anti-Mage when Alacrity is cast on him, so not insignificant in and of itself.
Nicely played, though, in my opinion, for the Dire side. It wasn't a walkover. It's still pretty even in kills, a 17-11, and they did well in defense, but just late game, they just didn't take down that AM often enough or early enough to stop him. And having a full inventory like this is, with 8k gold as well, is just, that's a lot of money. An AM should never be allowed to have that much.
Yeah, I mean, their team wasn't really well built to take out the Anti-Mage. They didn't have your typical Anti-Mage counters like, killing heroes like a Night Stalker. But yeah, they just needed to push more early on to take more towers, put more pressure on the Anti-Mage, which is kind of the other way you beat him without having something like Riki or Night Stalker. But regardless, a well-played game from both teams, and we will be right back with the round 3 of this Dreamhack
qualifier number 4.
Qualifier, yeah. Vengeance Dota 2 Cup Online Qualifier number 4. See you guys soon.